guaranteed. Ah, there they are, High Templars. With a few High Templars, I actually think he will have the advantage, because with the High Templars, good bio ball, blinking, and take out 2 tanks, and then the battle cruisers are child's play, because while they are good, they are a bit like siege tanks. They need something in front or they're kind of dead. The other interesting thing is I find charge lots to be a very good counter to siege tanks, because you run the siege tanks will target the most threatening thing to them, which is generally the closest thing to them. Now, charge lots run straight into your marines are squishier than charge lots, the splash damage is alright, therefore I'll buy. Now, they're both going for their 3rd expansion. Hasu will have his 3rd expansion down before the little one, because the little one is out of expansion, is out of position, and will probably morph into command center first. None of these players going for a high macro build like a 3-base Zerg might. So this game, which goes for a very long time, is possible because they don't burn out after 30 seconds, while a 3-base Zerg would burn out 3 bases and have to do 3 more. Now we're looking at a nice little box here, which actually did his squat, because I think he had a Dark Templar there and used it. I'm actually surprised that the medevac didn't get feedbacked, but never mind, maybe he intended to and it never happened. Now we do have 2 proxy pylons here for Hasu, which will allow him to put an army anywhere he needs it. He just needs some expansion of the LittleOne, and I'm sorry I missed that, but it happens. Now this forces at least 100 seconds of in-game time. I am aware that 100 seconds in game time is more like 70 seconds game time. This actually does force 70 seconds less mining and a really oversaturated expansion, because his main is mined out as of now. Now we do see ghosts on their way, which on high level Terran play versus Progress is always good, because yes, you can remove half their HP. Now, what the little one has laid down is 4 barracks. I'm actually surprised. Well, it seems a bit of a waste that he has 2 barracks here without a reactor pumping marines, where he could just use 1. And as we discussed, he's sacrificing numbers, so he does actually care about that 100 difference. Now, the other thing I'm surprised about is that you're neither... Oh no, wait. My bad. Hasu has gone for level 1 weapons and level 2 weapons is researched now. My personal preference / style is to get upgrades earlier, because level 1 things versus the same amount of level 0 things will kick ass. It's slightly ridiculous, but there you go. Now here's a fairly large complication, and most of the ones are in the same position over here. Now these tanks are still managing to lay into the bonus army, and the fact that the battle cruisers will get feedback, so both of them are fairly low. You did also lose one. Mind you, Hasu lost a lot more. Now if we look at units lost, we can see that Hasu has lost about 500, 600 more. But again, you're looking at pro play where, not to beat a dead horse, well, I probably am, but every little bit counts. Now this is fairly good to stop harassment, but apart from that I actually think it's fairly pointless, especially when most of your army is an army of steam marines, because they can move ridiculously fast when you press that T button. Now, Hasu going for his 4th expansion. Now this expansion is fairly risky, but given that he's held map control for the entire game, he's fairly safe. Now, he is laying down a few cannons, which I think is a very good idea, because this base especially is very weak. No, weak is a bad word, but I'll use it anyway. I have a better word in mind, but I'm blanking on it. Off of that happening today. He is putting a ghost here, and you could call in a nuke there, and it would be very hard to stop. I've seen it a few times, mostly in Husky's recordings, or Day 9, or Total Howley Butt, who's quite fun and enjoyable. Now we do see 3 Stargates being thrown down by Hasu, which is very interesting play, but it's a big tech switch, which, given that Liquid TLO has put down bunch of siege tanks, they are now just going to be perfectly useless. Now if he had a Protoss partner, which he doesn't, nudge, he could pick them up and then he could pick up... Actually, that's completely pointless. If he picked up his own siege tanks, what would happen then? Diddly bloody squad. But I am very... catching those 3 siege tanks out of position, which isn't necessarily such a bad thing. The siege tanks actually deal more DPS to a single unit, unsieged, if it's armoured, than siege. Bearing in mind the splash damage in a tightly packed group of stalkers, not so much. But if we look at the income, we can now see that Hasu has screamed ahead with a bunch of gold. Now, the little one has just scouted this, which would, pardon me, suggest that he's going to do something about it, because he knows he's behind. The opponent has one up on him, and on top of that, it's a gold. Although I can't actually see how he's going to take back this expansion. Now, I am aware my computer is running on a fairly low FPS recording. If you notice this, I do apologise, but my computer is fairly hot because it's a fairly hot day. I've been in this room all day gaming, so it's fairly hot. And mine being a laptop and i7 core is prone to overheating. It's never actually crashed, but it does slow down as it gets hotter. Now, the little one is putting down another expansion, which I suggest is going to be lifted off and placed at the gold, and given that he's building a missile turret there, it's almost a certainty. Now, if we look into the production tabs, we see 2 carriers and a mothership on the way. These 2 carriers could turn the tide very easily. And something that I've always wanted to try and never have is put a bunch of SCVs below a mothership, because then they could repair it and that would be a lot of fun. Now these battlefields have been brought out of position and being stormed. The stalkers are going to site 1, 2, maybe 3 before backing out of there. He did take fairly reasonable losses, but 2 swarms on the Marines and they're gone. All that's left now is the air attack is 3 battlefields, which is very advantageous. That's probably a bad word, I apologize. Probably just like that. Now, these 4 battlefields out of 5, that's very expensive. Even though he did lose trainer, soldiers, some are still alive. They're being chased down by 2 Hellions, a Marine, and a Millwater. So I think those soldiers can have enough of that and send them on their way. Now he did just walk into a bunch of siege tanks, but he's sitting right next to them so they can't actually fight. Now if you look at the ghost version of the board, and no, he does good stuff except an observer's on the way. Now as we notice, there is a lot of Marines pouring out because we have a bucket load of barracks. We have 8 barracks. Again, this seems like a bit of a waste or a bit pointless, given that he has spare Marines and gas. Why not chuck down a couple of reactors, wait 30 seconds, and boom, you've got a lot more. But it's the little one. I'm sure there's a reason. Or if there's not a reason, well, that's so good. Now, I'm not exactly sure I actually like this, because he has 3 more SCVs on these 2 reactors than they need combined. And if I... No, wait, 4. Okay, little one is laying down his 4th expansion, 5th base in total, which is a bit pointless because he's got no workers there and he has a really oversaturated goal. The little one's seeming to like oversaturation at the moment. This mothership is, however, camping on top of this expansion, and those probes will be mining in happy oblivion because they cannot be attacked. This push being fairly major is having to deal with the first intent carriers. He hasn't actually known of their existence yet. Now he did force a stim there, so all those Marines are going to be on 35, on 45 life, a few of them stimmed twice. This is a good way to do it, and if you force your opponent to stim too many times, you end up with very squishy Marines, which even stimmed wouldn't be able to move out and storm if they try. Now we do have some battlecruisers over here being force fielded like they should be, and the mothership army, this is looking very threatening. If we look at the tab, you can see that Hasu has come back from that early push to be in a very powerful position. Although a Terran on the defense with siege tanks and things like that can be very hard to kill. Now this mothership is being pounded upon by 1 missile turret vortexing a bunch of probes. I do love how you can still see their minerals and gas. Interesting thought there. Now you can see this mothership is going to go down. It's very expensive possible, but I don't think these minerals will slide. Actually, they will because there's no interceptors. So all we have left is a bunch of zealots which will clean those trees up and send them home. I bet they're wishing they never served the little one, because the little one just sends them to their death. You know those mates you had in high school? They're gone. They're all dead. You know all those males you had in high school? They're gone. They're all dead. You know all the males in college? They're all dead because they all served the little one as Marines and they're all gonna die. Now we do have that PLO pushing out with 4 Barracudas, and at the moment with the current Tad, he does have a slight advantage. However, with this amount of stalkers and only 3 SCVs repairing, I don't think it's going to happen. He has now fallen behind because Vortex Tempers is doing don't kill us as fast. Sorry, my news tripped out. He did walk in a high tech bar there and tried to storm drop through. It seemed a bit of a waste, although it would have dealt with the SCVs. He's now pushing it back and trying to snipe that one last carrier, and it worked. So that attack was actually worth it. Bringing in some Sting Marines, which probably isn't a good idea. I find this quite interesting because he had 8 barracks and yet only